Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for October 3rd. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. We have an absolute phenomenal show lined up for you today. Really excited for this one. My boy, Dave Weaver from FanDuel TV is this week's guest. Him and I are going to look back at week 4, share what bets we are making for week 5. And Gino will have his horse racing bet of the day from Woodbine. But before we jump into all that, I'd like to say thank you to Thrive Fantasy, the sponsor of the show. If you're not using Thrive, really missing out. Use promo code ETOFT21 for a 100% deposit match. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, link to that is in the description. Now, let's see what Gino has cooking for us over at Woodbine.
Best bet for this week's going to come at Woodbine on Thursday, October the 5th. We're going to move to race number 6. Like always, we're looking at those DRF past performances, drf.com daily racing form PPs. If you ever handicap in the races or you want to play some races, you can get all the research that you need, and then you can make your wagers there with DRF bets. I'm going to look to the number 8 in this one. Source is 6-1 on the morning line. If we can get anything over 3, I think that's fair value on Speedy Lynn. She's going to be cutting back in here to 5 furlongs, and I think she'll have some punch. She'll be able to sit a really nice trip off the pace. She was involved early last time out. She took back, and then she made a move to the lead. She just got a little tired late in that last furlong, half a furlong or so. She really faded. So this cutback is going to help her. It's going to give her some punch. She's proven that she can sit off the pace. And if you look at some of the horses drawn to her inside, there's a good amount of early speed in here. You will see horses like Baby Mo show a little bit of speed. Hard to Capture show a little bit of speed. And then you have a couple really quick ones like Silent Guru, very fast. American Gamble's pretty quick. And Summer Snow definitely going from the rail. So we'll look at the number 8 in race 6 at Woodbine on Thursday. That is Speedy Lynn. Good luck. Hope everyone has a nice week, and make sure to keep tuning in here each and every week for all the best information in sports from Eric.
Make sure you give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me, Gino B. Now, I'm really excited to welcome the man, Mr. Ice Cold himself, Dave Weaver, to the show. Dave, how you doing today, my man?
Took us 5 weeks, but let's talk some football. I'm doing great, Eric.
What's new, dude? First of all, I love that picture behind you, man. Where is that from?
Huh? So this was from a friend of mine that was just kind of like clearing some things out. He said, "Hey, I got this horse racing picture that's just kind of sitting in my garage. You want it?" I said, "Yeah, I think I got a great place for it right here in my living room." So I think it looks cool, and I figured it'd be a good place for me to sit in front of it.
I absolutely love it. We have some questions coming in. As always, I got to give you props. Last time you were on was the Super Bowl episode, and you told me the Chiefs were going to win. I said the Eagles were going to win. We had a gentleman's bet of a 6-pack of beer, so I do still owe you a 6-pack. I'm a deadbeat and not paying up, so you got to let me know. I'm assuming you seem like a Busch Light man.
Whatever the cheapest one is. It can be Natty Light, anything you want. Yeah, I'll let you off cheap. But not only did I tell you that they were going to win, we were doing more ways to win on the Super Bowl on Radio Row last year, and I told James Jones that the Chiefs were going to score 38 points, and they scored 38 points. And he said, "Dave, if the Chiefs score 38 points, I'm giving you a new pair of Jordans." The problem is we didn't do that show this year, so I didn't get a chance to see him to get my Jordans. So, I mean, the beer, I'm considering that as nothing compared to missing out on a free pair of Jordans.
I mean, yeah. I mean, God damn, dude. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. So aside from that, that's my announcement, basically, that I'm not following football as much this year because I don't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to do more ways to win. That show's kind of been put on hiatus, which is okay. I'm like full-time horse racing right now, but I'm paying enough attention to know who's good and who's bad. So when we go over our picks, it's not going to be as much research and the nuggets that I used to be able to find, but it'd be more of a fan and just you'll see when we get to it. But don't expect too much from me today, okay? That's the bottom line.
You know what, dude? I'm just happy to hear. It's crazy to me because, like, I remember 10 years ago watching you on Los Alamitos, and now I'm here talking football with you, man. So to me, it's awesome for you to be here. We do have some random NFL questions coming in. First one is from NAA86. What do the Patriots do with Mac Jones?
I mean, I don't think there's any reason not to stick with him. I mean, you could ask that about a lot of teams. What do the Jets do with Zach Wilson? You let the guys play. I mean, especially these young guys that are in their second or third seasons. You can't give up on them yet. But we'll save Zach Wilson for another day. But I mean, I see no problem with Mac Jones. You just gotta work him through this season and see if you can make a little bit of progress from week 5 to the end of the year. And I don't think you pull the plug. No way.
Brandon, who's he's Mr. Boston. My boy Brandon's Mr. Boston.
Okay.
He goes, it's official, and I hate to admit this, Eric, but Mac Jones needs to be done. This is like a super
really?
fan. Yeah, this
All
is
right.
like,
I mean, he knows more than I know, but
this is super fan from the Boston area. Raj is chiming in. Are the Lions for real?
Yes. The Lions are definitely for real. I like them before the season started. It's like the kind of the sneaky team. I heard a lot of Jaguar people saying that they're the sneaky team, but I thought the Lions were kind of the the small market team that really had a chance at this year's Super Bowl. So I'm a believer in Detroit for sure.
Brandon chimes in again. He goes, Dave, help me. Is it over for Bill and the Pats, or is this something they can get over?
It's something that they can get over. You got Belichick until he quits. I don't think you can quit as a fan. Let me just pull up. I'm just curious. Let me pull up the depth chart for the Patriots and just see what you have underneath Mac Jones, just to see. Okay, so you have Bailey Zapp and Will Grier are second and third stringers. Why would you want to go with either of those two when you have Mac Jones? I'm not there yet.
As someone that made an absorbent amount of money betting on Zappy at Western Kentucky, he does have a special place in my heart.
Didn't he have a couple good games last year too when he had to step in?
Yeah, he had a couple good games where they went back and forth, caused a little dissension in the locker room. I don't know. I think they have to roll with Mac Jones just because the quarterback class is so deep next year. If he's not it, they're going to have their pick of one because they're going to have a top draft pick. Leo chimes in. How jealous is Mac Jones of Brock Purdy?
Well, of being on a good team or being a good quarterback. I mean,
well, we need to remember the big rumor was the 49ers traded up to draft Mac Jones, and then they changed their mind and went to Trey Lance. So, I mean, I don't know if Mac would be having Purdy success.
It's that's so many layers and dimensions to realize what would happen if things were different. You can't. I have a hard time thinking of things that way.
Dave Kozak chimes in. Send the man some natties. So Dave says I should send you some natties.
Take it. Whatever. $4.99. You're off the hook.
C-Spear22. Caleb to the Bears or head coaching change or both?
Both. Yeah. Let's go for both.
So,
and even this year, there was some speculation that they might draft a quarterback, right? And get and replace Fields immediately. And they didn't decide to do that, but there was definitely some buzz that they might trade up and try to just end up with that pick to get them a quarterback. I think you're right though. The next year's quarterback crop is the one.
So I heard this. So this is the two things I've heard. Number one, well, I know this one for a fact. Jim Caldwell, former coach of the Colts and the Lions, showed up to his Bears interview with a multi-year plan and how he was going to develop Justin Fields. And you don't hire him. To me, that's just awful because you see what Anthony Richardson is doing in Indianapolis when you have an offensive-minded coach. I think they did Justin Fields wrong. Flip side, I heard that Caleb Williams is making so much money playing at USC. He may stay one more year.
It's so different now, right? Like you don't have to leave the school to go and get your check. It's crazy.
Matt chimes in. Word is if the Bears lose Thursday, they will be cleaning house
go right into tank mode, week 6.
I mean, it is brutal. And then there is a ton of stuff in the chat. Dude, Urban to MSU thoughts. I think it's a total panic hire. I think it's an awful hire of MSU. Do you have any thought? I think it's awful. I think it's a total panic hire because
I don't think he would do it anyways. I mean, you think if they said let's go, he's going? I don't know if that's even something that's going to happen. I hate rumors and speculation. Until something happens, it means nothing, right? So if it does happen, then we figure out, okay, what does it mean and how do we bet this game next week? But other than that, it's nothing.
My boy Bobby checks in, and Bobby's in the know. Bobby knows a lot of stuff. He says there are some big money boosters that want Urban, and Elko, the coach at Duke, really doesn't want the job. So I don't know. Bobby knows his stuff. Bobby's like, he's in the trenches. So yeah, that's kind of something.
There you go. Getting back real quick to Justin Fields. So I was working at Santa Anita on Sunday, but keeping a very close eye on what was happening. And I looked at the stats. It was like midway through the third quarter something, and Justin Fields is like 23 for 24 for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, let the guy throw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were games where he was throwing 9 times, 7 times, 11 times last year. Maybe he can pass. Like, why don't you write some script where he can throw 40 times a game and see what happens. But anyways, he hasn't really had a chance to even show that he can do that. Everybody's got him pigeonholed into this running quarterback that needs to get 80 or 90 yards in the ground when he just proved, even though they didn't win, that, hey, he can throw the ball.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, you got DJ Moore, you got the other St. Brown. I'm spacing on his first name. You have the guy, oh my God, Mooney, the guy who used to play at Tulane. You got some weapons.
Claypool's a whole different. He's out, right? He's
I
think he's barred from the freaking locker room or something. I don't know. He's not out. He's not on the good list.
Well, here's the thing, and this is my thing. Claypool, this is how I look at it. And you're a Steelers fan, so maybe you can shed some light on it. He comes from playing with Big Ben for 1 year and being coached by Mike Tomlin to this. You know what I mean? Like, you're used to organization and structure, then you come to what is perceived as just an utter like crapshoot. So I think that was a little bit of his frustration.
Maybe he didn't get a fair shake, but he's clearly not fitting into that, that plan that they had for him. But even without him, they still have some guys that can get the ball. And I mean, the Bears are not good. Like, let's not waste all our time on the Bears, I guess. Yeah, let's be honest.
David chimes in. Coaching staff completely failed for the Bears and Fields last weekend. Gutsy, who's the OC, has no trust in Fields. As soon as he made one error, they stopped throwing. Matt chimes in. What's wrong with the Giants?
Everything. I mean, number one, they can't block, right? You probably have to put this 7 Mississippi rule in for them to give Daniel Jones a chance to have more than 0.8 seconds to throw the ball. But their offensive line was absolutely brutal. And Darren Waller is a complete bust. I mean, you look at their offseason signings and nothing is panning out for them. It's just a disaster.
And that guy Neal, who they drafted with the 7th pick, he could be benched. The guy from Alabama, who they have playing on the left side. A lot of injuries up front. Sports facts. Is Williams a go this weekend versus the Jets, or should I pick up Jalen McLaughlin? I think you should pick up McLaughlin just in case. Javonte Williams seems to be as fragile as a wine glass. He seems to get hurt a lot. You got to pick him up. McLaughlin had over 100 yards and a touchdown. He had a lot of pop in his legs too. Looked really explosive running the ball. So yeah, I would pick him up because unfortunately Javonte, he just can't be trusted. He always gets hurt.
That's about every single quarterback in the league, right? Yes, I am one of the fantasy owners that benched David Montgomery last week. I actually have him on. I have him on 2 teams, and he was out the week before, right? So I had him bench, assuming he wasn't playing, and then I forgot to, it's just a manager error. I forgot to put him in place of Jaylen Warren, I think, was my backup. But that's the thing. You never know if a guy is going to be hurt, if he's going to be having a week where he scores 35 points. Running backs are so fragile. It's crazy. And even the quarterbacks these days, it seems like week to week, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, you don't know who's going to be in and how much they're going to play. And it's and that's actually one of the things we're going to get to in a little bit with our takeaways. Chat room's great, guys. Keep it on if you have any questions in terms of fantasy betting or thoughts in general. This is the part of the show where we get to some takeaways. We each are going to have 2 takeaways. Dave, I'm going to let you kick off. What is your first takeaway?
Okay. So my first takeaway is, as a Steeler fan, it just how bad their offense is. And you have an offensive coordinator that came in a few years ago in Matt Canada that just is not pulling his weight. And I looked at some of the offensive categories that the Steelers are struggling in. Look, they have Pickett, they have Najee Harris, they have Jaylen Warren, they have Pickens, they have Pat Freiermuth, they have enough weapons. They're not going to be the number 1, number 2, number 3 offense in the league, but they shouldn't be 32. They're last in red zone scoring attempts. They have 1.3 red zone scoring attempts a game this season. Pathetic. They are last in first downs per play. They get a first down about 1 every 5 plays, so 0.23% of the time. The Dolphins are first at 40%. Yards per reception, 22nd. Points, 25th. Overall yards, 263 yards a game, 29th. Time of possession, 29th. I mean, they're bottom 4 in almost every offensive category. It's unacceptable. So I don't think Canada is going to make it through the season. I really think that they are good enough where, with the right play caller, they're a playoff team. But right now, that offense is not what it should be.
I hate the Lakers chimes in. Canada gave Tomlin Skid a scholarship to Maryland, and Tomlin is loyal to a fault.
Forever? I mean, at some point you have to say, look, dude, you're not, I was wrong, or it's time to get some youth in here. Bring some 35-year-old guy in that has some creativity, that knows how to mix it up a little bit. He's just so predictable, so boring. I know what he's saying, but that excuse can last for a season and a half, but at some point you got to just admit it was a bad hire.
Yeah, you just have to put the friendship aside and you have to move on. My thing is this, is for as much as the Bears get crap for their lack of development of Justin Fields, Canada and the Steelers don't get that with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, in my eyes, they're not doing a good job with him. I think I agree with what you're saying. I think it should be more, they should use his athleticism more. He can run the ball. Yeah. I don't think they run him enough. I think they're too set in this pre-snap motion stuff. Should push it down the field more with Pickens. And their offensive line has struggled a little bit. Why don't you roll them out more? You know what I mean? Why don't you have a moving pocket? Why don't you get them outside of the numbers a little bit more? Completely agree with you. I think Canada has to go. And as former Steeler great Antonio Brown tweeted out, Matt Canada needs to go to Canada.
I don't disagree.
Dave asked, is Pickett able to play this weekend after the knee injury?
I think he's up in the air, right? I've heard some not great stuff, but it might not be enough to keep him out. I think it's so early in the week that we really don't know at this point.
My first takeaway, and this is going to be hot, I think the Bears made the right call going for it in the fourth quarter.
Okay, remind me what happened.
So there was 2:48 left. They had the ball on the Broncos 20, and it was 4th and 1, less than 1. And they elected.
What's the score? This is after they've already blown the lead, right?
It's tied up. It's completely
so it's tied right now. Okay, it's 28 all then. Okay,
28 all. 4th, less than a yard. Broncos have 1 timeout, and there's like 2:48, 2:51 left. I think they should have gone for it because you have the best rushing quarterback in the league, and your defense was bleeding. They hadn't gotten a stop since the Broncos' first drive of the third quarter. You get the first down, and the game's over. And I think Eberflus was looking at it like, my team's rushed for 171 yards. I'm playing the worst rushing defense in the league. I should be able to get a yard. And I know the analytics are going to say, hey, you know what? Kick the field goal here because there's 250, 248 left. But my problem with analytics is it doesn't take in the momentum of the game, how tired your players are, and kind of like stuff like that. It doesn't take in the human element that much. And I think he was trying to win. I hate the play call. I'd rather have a little RPO with an RPO.
What did he run, by the way? What was the call?
Halfback blast with Khalil Herbert. Yeah. I would have done RPO with Herbert with Clement rolling out to the sideline. That's what I would have done because Clement had an absolute huge game. I think he was trying to win. I'm not an Eberflus guy. I think it was an awful hire, but I like the idea of going for it on fourth down because he was trying to win the game. And let's face it, even if they kick the field goal, I don't think the defense is going to stop the Broncos.
Right. And I don't actually, you said you think the analytics say to kick the field goal. I think the analytics actually would say to go for it, right? When you're only needing a yard to move the chains and against a team that gave up 70 points the week before. I mean, if you can't get a yard against Denver, literally you don't deserve to win.
Now, I agree. Yeah. I thought it'd be the same, but ESPN tweeted out it was like 50-50, which kind of blew my mind. Dave chimes back in, agreed with the thoughts about the Bears in the game. Awful play call, though. So I don't know. I think you got to try to win there. And
I'm with you.
Eberflus has it won. Matt, before we get to your thought number 2, Dave, Matt chimes in. Is Joe Burrow that hurt that is causing his poor performance?
Yes. There is no doubt that he has been playing hurt every single week since that injury in the preseason. And you just have to hope that as weeks go by that it's getting better, but physically and statistically, it doesn't look like that's getting the case. I keep saying this is the week that we're going to see Joe Burrow. And other people are saying, oh, he got the money, he got his bag, he doesn't care anymore. He got that guaranteed contract. You look at him going back to high school, college, he's a winner. I don't think he's the type of guy that gets paid and doesn't care anymore. So I don't think it's that. I think he's hurt. But I believe that there's going to be that turning point, and I don't know when it's happening, if it's this week, the next week, or week 7, that offense is going to explode. I liked them a lot last week, and they were terrible, and Burrow was terrible, but he can't be that bad, right? I mean, every single week.
I sent a text message to a guy I know in the Bengals organization, and his reply to me was he was shocked he's not on IR. But with the fact that they were going, this was right before the Monday night game. He goes, the fact they're winless, they need a win because they still think this season can be something. They are playing. That was the message I got back from my guy. But he was surprised he wasn't on the IR. Dave, takeaway number 2. What are we working with, my man?
It's going to go right back to this whole situation with quarterbacks either being forced to play hurt or not being able to play. I got a list here, and I guarantee you I'm missing some too. Quarterbacks who left the game this year, or who have missed a game. So Justin Fields, he was on concussion protocol, but he ended up playing last week. Deshaun Watson didn't play last week. Richardson missed the game. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, first drive is out. Bryce Young missed time. Jimmy G, Derek Carr, Geno Smith missed a drive on Monday night. Pickett came out in the third quarter. Mahomes had that ankle rolled, but he kept playing. But that looked scary because we saw what happened to him last year. Burrow clearly is not right. He's been playing hurt, but I don't think he's missed a drive, but I'm putting him in that category. And I might be missing some. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 quarterbacks. And we're through 4 weeks and they just can't stay on the field. Look at Daniel Jones. They're on all those times he got hit. You never know when you're getting sacked that much, how you're going to hold up. So he's kind of been lucky that he's been able to overcome being hit that often, but it's a rough go. And I don't know what the reason is. It's because offensive lines just no longer can protect their quarterbacks the way that they used to. It's that quarterbacks just don't have enough, reps with the preseason being shortened. I don't know why, but these quarterbacks and for bettors, and especially with this day of betting player props, and you're betting a guy, and then in the second quarter he's out. It's like, shit, man. It's like, how do we make sure that a guy is going to get through 60 minutes? I don't know. It makes me almost not want to bet player props as much anymore.
Betting player props sucks. That is the absolute worst thing.
I love player props, but when you get hurt, it's like, oh my God.
I was looking at it. So this week there was 60 players that were out of the game. Last year at this time, this same week, 57. The year before that, 31. And that was the first year that there was the 3-game preseason, but you still had all these guys playing in the preseason games. I personally think that with the offensive linemen, they're coming in not in shape. That leads to some soft tissue, some hamstring injuries, some knee injuries, some leg injuries. And then you have a backup in there that leads to the quarterback getting hit. I think the shorter preseason, guys aren't coming into shape. They're not getting into game shape because they're not playing in the preseason game. And then that leads to a lot of the stuff going on. And then also we're trying to avoid hitting in the head, which I totally get. But this leads to a lot of hits in the legs, which causes some knee issues. Now, you're a big Steelers fan. Do you feel the hit on Nick Chubb by Fitzpatrick was dirty? Because I don't. I don't
either.
I think Nick Chubb just kind of seems like that dude that is just a dude. You just like him. Seems like a good guy. Hate to see it, but I don't think it was a dirty play. I think Fitzpatrick was just trying to make a tackle. I don't think he was trying to hurt him.
I think 9 out of 10, or maybe even 49 out of 50 of these are not intentional. You're not trying to go out there and end a guy's season. It's just the freak things. And Geno Smith was livid the way he was tackled out of bounds on that pass that got deflected, and he ended up being the receiver on his own pass. And it was a weird tackle, but I don't think it was one where you're trying to hurt somebody. So I think these are just very unfortunate situations that are happening more this year than we've seen in years past.
And you're right. It's just kind of freaky too. You know what I mean? It's just random. I would think it's a shortened preseason, but maybe I could be completely wrong. I do think the guy in the Raiders that hit Herbert, I don't know if you saw that one, when Herbert was clearly out of bounds and the guy from the Raiders, whose name I'm spacing on, hit him. I think he was trying to hurt him there. I think that was a dirty hit.
I read today that he has a broken finger. I don't know if that happened on that play or not, but there's another name that we can add to the list. I don't think I don't know if it's going to limit him from playing time, but that's an injury.
That was freaky because he passed it, and when he brought his left hand down, it got caught in Crosby's face.
that happens. Yeah.
That was just a freaky one. Now I'm going to do a victory lap because this is one of my better calls ever. CJ Stroud, I'm sitting at, I think, plus 650 for offensive rookie of the year.
Wow. Do you know what he is right now?
I think he's like minus 125.
He's doing great.
Matt Clay chimes in. CJ Stroud looks really good. He looks insanely good, and he's playing behind a depleted secondary. My second takeaway was this.
Okay.
I don't think we realize how big Bieniemy was to the Chiefs offense, namely Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes strikes me as someone that you kind of need to get in his face. You need to kind of be aggressive with him. And that report came out with the Commanders that some of the players thought Bieniemy was being too hard on him in practice. And I'm looking at Mahomes this year with no Bieniemy. Completion percentage down from 67 to 64% through the same amount of games compared to last year. Yards per game down from 277 to 251 this year. Last year, his TD to INT ratio was 5.5 TDs to every 1 INT. This year, every 2 touchdowns, he's throwing an INT. So he's turning the ball over more. The Chiefs are averaging 7 points less per game through 4 games and have only scored over 24 points once, and that was against the Bears. This time last year, they'd scored over 24 3 out of the 4. Now, look, I know the Chiefs play some average defenses moving forward, play the Vikings, play the Broncos, but later on, they have some tough matchups with great defenses, namely the Bills, and even the playoffs. I think the Chiefs, I don't think they're going to come out. I think they're right for the picking this year. I think there's going to be someone else representing the AFC. I don't think the Chiefs are going to make it back.
Well, it doesn't look like it's going to be the Bengals at this point. But we're only 4 weeks in. But yeah, it could be a totally different look from where we were last year towards the end of the year with the teams that weren't as good last year being much better this year. It's been a weird season. All the Eagles and Niners. Yeah, the NFC looks like. I mean, they've got the undefeated teams, but I thought the AFC to start the year seemed like the much deeper conference, but now through 4 games, it doesn't look that way all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, it's shaping up to be like completely different. I mean, the Bills, the Dolphins, they look stout.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Browns with Deshaun Watson are good. I think that defense is good. Ravens, I
like the Ravens.
I haven't been that impressed with them, but they're winning.
But they're hurt, and they're winning. Winning hurt is not an easy thing to do, and they just find a way to do it. And then when they get some guys back, they could be even tougher.
Jags took a step back. Colts look better than I thought. Texans look. I have the Texans
way better.
So yeah. Texans look good. I actually bet the Titans to win the division. Titans defense in the front looks good. Tannehill's struggling. Out west, I thought Denver was going to be something.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Denver, Raiders, and Chargers all don't look like
Yeah,
Super Bowl
so
teams.
It looks a little bit more wide open than we all thought it was going to be. We have reached the part of the show where we talk about our bets. Have to bring up how we did last week. Good week for the show. Chase, last week's guest, the host of the notorious OTB podcast. He had the Bills and Dolphins over 53.5. Texans +3, both winners, but he lost the Packers money line. Old Uncle Rico, myself, I had the Bills -2.5, the Ravens +3, and I admit it, I had the Pats +7, and as soon as Mac Jones had back-to-back turnovers that led to touchdowns, I called that game a loss. So, 2-1, can't complain on a 2-1 week, but live and learn, bet on Mac Jones.
That's not bad at all for you guys. By the way, I wasn't on your show last week, but my best bet was the Bills. I thought they would do exactly what they did to the Dolphins, and they did not disappoint. So that was a good pick. Not for me, but for you guys.
Oh, dude, great pick by you too. I'm going to say this now. Obviously, with the White injury, I think right now the Bills are the team. Like if the Super Bowl was today, I think it'd be the Bills. But obviously, they lost White in the back 4 with the Achilles, so that hurts them a little bit. With the betting stuff, Dave and I are going to share our 3 best bets for this upcoming week. Dave is the guest. Dave, I'm going to let you kick it off.
Go right back to Buffalo. I make a line when I see the matchup. I let the week play out. Sometimes I'll make a line before Sunday and just kind of see where it is and how much it changes after I see what happens and how much those games will affect my opinion on the line. But this one, Buffalo, I had -8, and they're -5.5. This is a line that I'm really shocked that Jacksonville is getting this much respect to only be a 5.5 point favorite. I mean, Miami was just coming off of 70-point score, and they're undefeated, and they go to Buffalo, and that line was 3. So I figured this line would be around 5 points more than it was last week, and it's only 2.5. That's a lot of respect that I don't think Jacksonville deserves yet. You look at that game a couple of weeks ago against the Texans, putrid. I mean, they gave up over 400 yards. They end up beating Atlanta last week and looked much better, but I don't think enough where they deserve to be a 5.5 point underdog. This should be 7, 7.5, 8 in my mind. I don't know if I'm the only one that's thinking that the Bills are 8 points better than the Jags, but they are. injury or no injury, the offensive side of this Bills offense is going to be able to score. I think it will against Jacksonville. Their defense has been okay this year. They're definitely better than they were last year, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. They held the Chiefs to, numbers that normally you would expect more, but you've already talked about the Chiefs offense this year hasn't been great overall. They held Atlanta in London, but they're not going to be able to shut down this Bills offense at all. I think the Bills are putting up another 40 points. So if Jacksonville can stay with them and lose, 41-38, more power to them. But I don't see this being a shootout with Lawrence and Allen going back and forth. I'm not. Are you impressed with Jacksonville? I'm not.
No, I was down on Jacksonville. Their offensive line, they lost their best one, Taylor, who went to the Chiefs, who can't even stay on the field now. They drafted this kid from Oklahoma who looks putrid, and Von Miller could be coming back. Now you have their best pass rusher coming back against an offensive line that has struggled. Back four for the Jaguars looks awful. I have no idea who's going to be able to cover Davis and Diggs.
Nobody.
And looking at our friends over at Sports Insights, the site where you can see all your betting trends, favorites in these international games, 63% against the number. 63% of the number. So favorites historically do well there. And another thing, this is the Jaguars' second game here. This is like you know what I mean? Like, you have 53 players and coaching staff who are in a hotel, then you had to change to a different hotel because the Bills were going in your hotel. There's a lot of stuff, and these athletes get into their routines. I agree with you. I absolutely love the Bills here. I'm definitely going to be looking to be on the Bills and probably on some Stephon Diggs props because I don't think they have the secondary to stop them.
All right, there we go. I think that's a very favorable line, 5.5.
Oh, it's very fair. I agree with you. I thought this was going to be 7. I thought they actually were going to hang a 7.5 just to get some money on Jacksonville. I thought that's what I thought I was going to open up at.
And do we know like opening at 5.5 where the money has gone? Because I haven't seen it move off of 5.5.
Let me pull it up right now.
Maybe it's one. Maybe it has, but when I checked the opening line and earlier today, it was still there.
So I'm pulling it up right now, and where is it? All right, so percent of the bets is 85, so they're getting 85% of the bets, and 73%. Buffalo is. Okay. So that means that means the sharps and the recreation.
But the line's not moving to 6. But they're getting the money, but it's not moving, which is, I guess, telling you something.
Yeah. My first bet, and I'm going back to Mac Jones. It's like, I don't know why I'm going back to Mac Jones, and I hate it, but it's more of a fade of the Saints. Derek Carr has historically struggled on the road for his career. His yards per game, completion percentage, and touchdowns per game all down. Plus, he's going into the game with a shoulder injury. He struggled to throw the ball down the field on Sunday, and passes that were over 10 yards depth of target, they were floating. There was no accuracy whatsoever. That's why we saw Kamara have 14 targets for 13 receptions and 33 yards. Derek Carr, with this injury, can't throw the ball downfield. Now he's playing a defense that is 8th overall in total DVOA, 12th DVOA defending the pass. Look, I know the Patriots have some injuries to Gonzalez and Judon, but I don't think an injured Carr can take advantage of those two not being there. You look at Bill Belichick. After a loss, he is 41-19-1. That is 68.3% against the number. As a favorite of a field goal or less, 63%. Mac Jones as a favorite is 63%. As a dog in his career, he's a robust 2-13 against the number. Really struggles as a dog. Also, I'm all about buying low, selling high. Teams that lost by 35 points or more the previous week are 64% ATS. The next game, teams that scored 3 points or less, 61% ATS. Also, the Saints offense has struggled this season. They aren't running play action pass. That is where Carr is at his best, one of his best in the league at play action pass. Even without Judon, I think the Patriots are going to be able to cause some pressure on Carr. Plus, the weakness of the Saints defense is the rush defense. I think the Patriots are going to lean on the run game. I'm going to take this small home favorite at -1.5. I hate the Lakers. 99 chimes in. He is all over. Hayden Hurst, his reception yards over. And then Sports Facts chimes in. Are you taking Gibson props on Thursday? Now, one thing, I'm doing a study on this, Dave. This is my case, my year-long project. I am looking at running backs touches on Sunday carried over when they have that Thursday game. So we've seen twice this year, Swift didn't play in a Sunday game, then was a workhorse on a Thursday. And then we saw, hate to bring up a sore subject, we saw it with David Montgomery, didn't play that Sunday, then had 30 tickets, this 30 carries. Now, last week against the Eagles, Gibson really wasn't a factor. I'm gonna see this week if Gibson is going to be a factor. Just one of those things I'm starting to notice, like with these quick turnarounds, because we talked about RB injuries. Guys that aren't getting the run, if that whole spiel makes sense.
I just hate guessing who's getting the ball, because that's a team where you bet Gibson and Robinson gets it every single time. I bet Robinson, Gibson gets. I'm like, what's going on? There's no consistency. And Belichick is notorious for that when I'm playing the running backs for New England over the last 5 years. Like, this guy's supposed to get the ball. Nope, not this week. We're trying to fool people and just bringing other people in. So when there's not a number one at the running back position, if there was, I don't think it's Gibson. I think it is Robinson. I'm just a little worried, not knowing the usage that you're going to get. But if you're telling me because he was a little light on Sunday, he'll go heavier Thursday, that is a good nugget.
That's kind of what I'm looking. That's what I'm tracking this year to kind of get ahead of the curve. Dan chimes in, man, I'm all about the math, but taking the Patriots feels like a chore. # nervous. He also chimes in, ice cold. I love you, my man. So it seems like Dan, you got a fan in Dan.
Love it.
Dave, bet number 2. Where are we going, my man?
So bet number 2, I am playing a team that is coming back from London, and that is the Falcons. I know, sometimes that's a tough spot with that traveling back, but to only be 1.5 or maybe 2 now against the Texans at home, this is a light number. Again, making this line, I had Atlanta -4. And that's a big difference when you think they're going to be more than a field goal and they're less than a field goal. Talk about key numbers. I mean, if you can get less than 3 when you think a team should be favored by more, that's a bet. And for me, hate to go against your rookie of the year bet with Stroud, but Bijan Robinson he's been spectacular. He's been catching the ball to the backfield. He's been explosive. You go back and you look at that game against the Jaguars, even though they only, I think, put up 7 points in that game or something. But every time he touched the ball, explosive, getting through the line. They give it to Algier, 2 yard, -4. Like, you could see the difference between those two running backs. And for a rookie to be this good already in this 4th NFL game, I think he's going to carry them to a win in this game. Are we sold on Desmond Ridder right now as an NFL quarterback? No. But to be able to just knock off the Texans with a field goal victory at home, that should happen.
I agree with you 100%. You
don't have to agree with me. You can say, Dave, Falcons suck. I don't care.
Well, I'll go back to that. Let me read this comment. It says, let's make some money 60. Oh, let's make some money 69. Dave, this is a Browns and Falcons stream. The 2 teams I have NFL futures on to win it all, Cleveland Browns 35-1 and the Atlanta Falcons.
So you're always going to go, okay, I hear you. Good. Let's go.
So this is why I actually had the Falcons on my thing here at -2.5. And then when the line dipped down, I took it out. I have it at 2.5. I absolutely love it. I'm a big DVOA person. And the Texans can't stop the run. And you mentioned Bijan Robinson. They're just going to turn around and hand the ball off to Bijan. Bijan is an absolute stud. Also, the Texans are down another offensive lineman. You have Grady Jarrett.
4, right?
Yep, they're down 4. So you have Grady Jarrett, who's the best player in the NFL no one's heard of, defensive lineman for the Falcons, and Campbell, who are going to wreak some havoc. Texans are relying on Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I think A.J. Terrell and Bates are going to be able to take those guys out. I don't think the Texans are going to be able to stop the run. I'll be honest, Dave. I'm in a survivor. My circa survivor, I think I'm taking the Falcons this week.
How many is it? Is it down to like somewhere in the 1,500 range probably? Because when I got knocked out in week 2. I had the ice cold exacta card that I had Jacksonville when they lost to Houston. Terrible. How does that? I mean, and I never had a chance in that game. It's like, oops. But anyways, that knocked me out. So I'm happy that you're still alive. But that has to be. It started out over 8,000. I'm guessing it's less than 2,000 now.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I mean, like,
it's low.
I know this for me. I don't look, because when I start looking at how many people are left, then I start just overthinking
do your business week by week.
Is like, I just want to boom, 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 boom.
I like that.
So yeah, I think I'm taking the Texans, not the Texans, the Falcons. I absolutely love the Falcons. I don't
really enough so where it's a survivor play.
I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run. I think that Arthur Smith is just going to say, look, I'm just going to turn around. I'm going to hand the ball off to Bijan, and I'm just going to run it. I absolutely love that bet.
Let's talk this real quick, because I'm a huge survivor guy. And the whole premise, there's 2. Number 1, find the game that is going to get you out of that week. But number 2, take a team in the softest spot that they're going to have the rest of the year. So if Houston at home is that spot for Atlanta, then that should be your play. They have Washington at home. They have the Vikings at home. They have the Saints at home. I don't think any of those are any easier. And then in week 16, they have the Colts, and who knows what's going to be happening with those 2 teams. Maybe Jonathan Taylor is going to be taking the Colts to the Super Bowl by then. Who knows? But I think it's a good, it's a good spot to just get them out of the way as well. So if you do, that would be nice to be able to sneak out this week.
My 3 spots I was looking at this week were the Falcons.
Yeah.
Who
else is there?
The Falcons, the Lions, and the Dolphins. Those are the 3 ones I was looking at. And
Dolphins are 11. That's a double digit, right? That's the biggest spread.
But I would rather wait on the Dolphins. I want to wait. I don't want to use
I don't know where else
the Jets.
Oh, well, they play the Panthers the next week.
Yeah.
And then they have the Jets later on too. Yeah, you're right. And then if somehow you skip them this week and they just happen to lay an egg and the Giants beat them, you're knocking out so many people. I mean, that would take a lot of luck, but that would be just fortunate.
And as someone for my whole life that has been a Lions fan, I do not trust them at all, man. I'm just being straight up. I am thrilled to death. And if somehow they make it to the playoffs, I will be there in person, but I do not trust them at all in the spot. This is the spot where they historically, excuse my language, shit the bed.
So when they're supposed to win. Easy.
Yeah, when they're supposed to win. And you want to be really blown away?
And that's going back to Mitchell, the lefty. That's going way back. That's just Lions football.
Yeah. If they make it to the Super Bowl, Jared Goff is going to be held in a higher realm than Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders. Blown away, dude. Yeah.
Is that how it works? Yeah, because they couldn't do it. Yeah, but
my bet too, and you're gonna like this one. I'm going to your boys. I'm taking the Steelers plus 4.5. Tomlin as
that's a big line.
65.4% ATS as a home dog, 76.2% ATS. He is 59.3% ATS off of a loss as a dog against Harbaugh. This is the one that stood out to me. 11-2-2. That is 84.6% ATS. Full disclosure, I was on the Ravens last week. That was the least impressive 24-3 road victory that I've seen. I don't think the Ravens would have won if Watson would have played the game. The best play for the offensive side was Jackson running the ball. Steelers rushing game has looked better. I don't like what I'm seeing from Jackson throwing the ball. I think the Steelers will be able to take advantage of Jackson throwing the ball to the outside. When you look at his splits, they are toward the bottom of the league. Plus, I know the Steelers have struggled defending the run, but Staley and other offensive linemen are banged up. I think that's going to help them stop this Ravens rushing attack. And Ravens, they don't have Dobbins. Look, I don't know if the quarterback is Trubisky or Pickens, but I know the Ravens do have injuries in the secondary. I think they're going to be able to exploit that, get Pickens, Allen Robinson, the kid Austin going, and your boy Canada. He's coaching for his job right now.
He is.
He's coaching for his job. This is just the typical Tomlin spot, covering, probably winning a game after he looks like completely dog crap. I'm going to take the Steelers here plus the 4.5.
So it sounds like Tomlin said that Pickett is supposed to practice Wednesday. So that's a good sign that at least he's going to have some sort of a role out there. But if he's not, even if it is Trubisky, I would still take the Steelers plus 4.5. I'm with you. So we're in agreement on that one.
I love it. This is just what Tomlin does. This is just us backed in the corner. Everyone's doubting me. I remember that week 1 game when they were 14-point dogs to the Bills, and they won it there, and they just straight up won.
They won it outright.
Dave, bet 3. Where are we going, my man?
So my final bet that we're going to cap this thing off with. Let me see exactly when this game goes. Yeah, it's the Monday night game. It is the Raiders at home on a Monday night in Vegas against Green Bay as a slight dog. I'll take the money line. I think you would agree when you're getting 1, 1.5, 2, you might as well just take the slight plus money. But I do not think Green Bay is deserving of being a road favorite at this point in the season. When you go back 4 weeks, they pick them against the Bears or something, or maybe even a dog against the Bears. They won a couple of games. They've looked good, but they shouldn't be a road favorite in this year's NFL. The Raiders, they obviously have some quarterback issues right now, but that kid, he didn't look, to me, he looked okay. Do we even know who's
we don't know
this week?
Garoppolo's been cleared. We don't know.
Okay. Either way, that's not the difference maker to me. I just don't feel that the Packers are a team that is a legitimate road favorite at this point in the season. So I'll take the couple of points. Devontae Adams, he's having himself a year, huh? Man, he's just been going absolutely crazy out there. So he's playing his old team. He is going to be fired up to have a big game. Was it the Packers, or I don't know, when he pushed the cameraman or something? I don't know. That probably wasn't
for the Raiders, and that was at the Chiefs.
That was Chiefs. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just think this is going to be a big game for Vegas. They don't want to start the season off 1-4 here. I know we say this way too often about, it's a must-win game. This is a big game for Vegas. If they lose, they're going to be in very, very bad shape. If they win, they're right back in the hunt. And I don't think Packers should be favored in this game. I had it the other way around. I thought the Raiders would be, -2-ish, somewhere in there.
Cool Kev says, "What's up, Dave? What's up, Eric?" Cool Kev, thanks for tuning in, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I like the Raiders here too. Packers have numerous injuries. Devontae Adams. I'm in 3 fantasy leagues, and there's 2 guys I have in every single team.
I didn't get him on any, but
Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs.
Both.
Absolutely love it. Cool Kev. Raiders are screwed if they lose for sure. Yeah. I mean,
right?
Josh is probably out of a job. I like them here. I think this is huge game for Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs looked like he had a little bit more bounce. Packers really do struggle defending the run. Cool Kev. Jimmy G better be playing. I think he plays. I think he's going to clear.
Even better if he does.
I'll probably be on this one. Too. I haven't locked it in. I'm hoping. I liked what I saw from Aiden. I feel if Jimmy G doesn't play, it's going to be there. But if it gets announced as Aiden, maybe we get a point or 2 more. So I'm
with you.
I'm just waiting out. I'll be on that one. My last one, I'm going out to LA. I'm going to your neck of the woods, my man. Taking the Rams plus the 4.5. The weakness of the Eagles defense is defending the pass. Plus, they have injuries in the back four. Stafford has looked solid this season, averaging 307.25 yards per game. Plus, guess who's coming back? Cooper Kupp.
Is he back?
He's on track to be back.
They haven't missed him, actually. I mean, these rookies, Puka's amazing. It catches everything that they throw at him. Obviously, with him and Cooper in there together, Cooper Kupp will obviously command the coverage, and then that could be
Puka's going to eat.
Even better for Puka. Yeah, but how about Williams? Touchdown machine out of the backfield. They said, Cam Akers, get out. He's been awesome. Like this Rams team nobody knows how good they are, but they keep being underdogs and they keep scoring tons of points, and Stafford's just doing his thing out there, but nobody's really registering the Rams as a good team. In the people's brains, the Rams are supposed to be like, 2-15 or something, and they're legit, and
I have them 10-1
back.
I have them 10-1 to win the West. I love this team. I think this is.
I've been impressed. I didn't love them, but I've been watching them a lot out here in LA, and every week I'm like, damn, they're
look
for
good.
real. Their offense is for real.
They were right in there with the 49ers, a late Stafford turnover right there with the Bengals. They could easily be 4-0. With Kupp coming back, this is going to lead to better matchups for Puka, Van Jefferson, Higbee. Plus, the Eagles are without two of their top three cornerbacks. Plus, their middle linebacker covers the tight end is out. This is going to help the Rams playmaker and Stafford even more. Jurgen, who is an offensive lineman for the Eagles, got hurt. Now, the reason this is a big deal is the Eagles have had so much depth. Howie's done a great job of building the depth on the offensive line, but it's gone this year. All these backups have signed and are starters at someplace else. So they don't have the depth. So I think Donald is going to be able to get to Hurts. Eagles are 3-0 this year in one-score games. I think they're due for a little bit of regression. Also, Riverboat Ron, you got to go for two there. You got to go for two and the win. That would have helped me greatly in my Survivor if the Eagles would have been out last week. Teams that are 4-0 and that are favorites on the road in week 5 are 43% ATS. Flip side, teams that are on a 4-game ATS winning streak, like your Rammies are at home, are 62% ATS in the 5th game. Eagles have two new coordinators who have looked okay, but game plans, in-game adjustments, they haven't looked as crisp as they did last season. Hurts to me doesn't look good in the pocket. Happy feet. They aren't getting set so he can pass the ball downfield. A.J. Brown's upset about his lack of touches. I like the Rams here. I liked them in at plus 4.5.
Yeah, with you. We were in agreement on plenty here on the show. So I'm getting a Natty Light. If you win Survivor, though, I will demand, what is it, 7 million? 7 million, I think. I'll demand a high-end bottle of bourbon from you.
So Jack Daniels.
You're going to win 7 million and still be a cheap ass. Come on, man.
I'll tell you what, if there's a miracle and I win it somehow, you know what? I'll make sure I hook you up, my man. Dave, always a pleasure talking shop with you. Thanks for coming on. Feel like we could talk 2 more hours about NFL. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media and when you're going to be on FanDuel TV over the weekend?
Yeah, so we'll be on channel 602 DirecTV. We're on a lot of cables as well. It used to be called TVG. We've rebranded. It's now FanDuel TV. You can catch me on Twitter, or X as we call it now. I'm at Ice Cold Exacta. I'll be on Thursday, and then I'll be at Santa Anita Friday and Sunday. And then Saturday I took the day off, and I'll be going out to the Rose Bowl to watch UCLA play Washington State. So I haven't seen a college football game in decades. It's been a long time, so that'll be fun.
Looking forward to that. I have a funny story I will tell you off air about how I almost went to a college football game over the weekend. You'll get a kick out of it.
Okay.
Make sure to give my boy Dave a follow. Make sure to check out FanDuel TV. And I'll tell you what, if Dave tells you to bet a horse, bet a horse. There was this random day I was watching Del Mar. You gave a very passionate sale on the 3-horse at, I forget what race it was. He was like 10, 11 to 1. I was like, shit, Dave sold me. Put $25 on anyone, dude. So thank you for that.
$300. My pleasure.
Make sure to give my boy Dave a follow. We're going to be back next week, same time. Brandon, Patriots superfan, professional iRacer, is going to be on. We're going to be looking back at week 5, talking week 6. Make sure to check that out. Give Dave a follow. We'll see you guys here next week.